Welcome, race fans, to race number 9 of the Mrs. Goody's Goodies Xfinity Series here at Elite Racing Network. We're here at Charlotte. We're going to have a full distance race tonight. It's a mile and a half. I'm Gerald Campbell. Usually you will find me on at Sunday nights in the Truck Series, but it looks like our co-commentators that are normally on here decided that they were going to be missing tonight. So I stepped in to at least allow the broadcast to continue on. But joining me tonight is Ryan Gravel. He's producing all these great shots that you see, live telemetry as you see on board of Tyler Fody, last night's winner in the Truck Series, out there going about qualifying. Qualifying will be wrapping up in around 40 seconds, and then we'll be able to go back green here. So stay tuned. Tonight is actually going to be a throwback paint scheme as well. As, I'm looking at some of the paint jobs out there. There are quite a few pretty paint jobs that we're seeing tonight. I see Chad Frankenfield out there with a nice looking one. So we'll see if we can be able to, at points in the race, be able to go through the field and get a good look at some of these Xfinity cars out there. Qualifying is almost complete here, and then we'll have a rundown of the qualifying order. As I get used to these Xfinity cars, yeah, we've been doing trucks most Sunday nights, so I've been one of those drivers that you usually see in this series, but stepped away a little bit. I enjoy watching it as much as you folks do to tuning in tonight. As looks like qualifying has just wrapped up. There's one of those beautiful paint schemes right there. That's Chad Frankenfield. Usually you'd see that in the that Skoll sponsorship, but good looking paint scheme on Chad Frankenfield here. Qualifying has wrapped up. We'll see if we can pull up the qualifying order, and I'll give you a race or a qualifying rundown. Starting on pole, Trevor Elam. He has gotten tonight's pole with a 30.54. Very good qualifying lap for him. Scott Crump came home second for this qualifying order. Ethan Burrell is going to be in the third position. Matthew Weeks, Ethan Burrell's teammate at Pro Edge, is going to be lining up in fourth position. Tyler Pop, a driver that has shown himself into the series last night. He ran very well in the Truck Series. Tonight, he has a great starting position in fifth place. Chad Thornquist is going to be in the sixth place position. Vincent Isabella is going to round out in seventh. And Jay Connor is going to be in eighth position. Tyler Fody in ninth. Brent Jones, with a very good qualifying starting spot tonight, is in the 10th place. Jeff Green is going to be in 11th, our Xfinity champion. Ryan Sold is in 12th. David Tooker, 13th. In 14th position is Richard Hines. Dustin Durr in 15th. Robert Hill Jr. in 16th. Chad Frankenfield will be in 17th position. David Westergreen is going to be in 18th. Trey Holmes in 19th. Ryan Barbarelli is going to be in the 20th position. Jesse Resmond is going to be in the 21st. And Zachary Evans, our Twitch streamer, is going to be in the 22nd position. Hunter Smith in the 23rd. Joey Chapman is going to be in the 23rd position. 24th position, actually. Hunter Smith is actually in 23rd. David Carpenter is going to be in the 25th. Harrison Talon, 26th. Ethan Reesner in 27th. Michael Goodman in 28th. Michael Hozak in 29th. Daniel Martinez, 30th. Andrew Rucker, 31st. Mark Rivas in 32nd. And Justin Foringer is going to be in the 33rd position. Mark Keeler is going to be in the 34th. Garrison Hogan is going to be in the 35th. One of those drivers that didn't qualify actually on a time, so he's going to have to work his way up through the field, as well as some of these other drivers that we will be seeing making a charge here late in the run. Joshua Adams, Tate Lytle, Joseph Kazi, Josh Robin back there, Jared back there in the 24th, Anthony Ludi in the 43rd car, and rounding out the final position in 41st is William Arrington. So good field of cars tonight for a full distance Xfinity race. It looks like we're going to have a brief look at some of these cars as we're going to go around the track here. 29 car up there, Trevor Elam, and old Kevin Harvick paint scheme. Very good looking car back there. Let's see if we can get a good look at some of these other ones if we can. Keep an eye on and see if any of them I recognize. Didn't get to go through the field and take any down, but it looks like that's definitely a paint scheme with, I think that's the number 12 of Vincent Isabella. That's a nice looking paint scheme there as well. Tyler Fody, our last night's winner, doesn't have a paint scheme it looks like tonight, but it's definitely going to be one of those running really well. I like to take a look at Jeff Green right there in the 38 car because he's doing a throwback to himself. That was when he had the same paint scheme on when he ran in the Xfinity series, but now with his C2 Freights sponsorship. So good to see Jeff Green out there representing himself. So I mean that's where you want to be in life, I guess. Whenever you got history where you can throw back to yourself back there. But got some other drivers. Obviously, we stated with Chad Frankenfield. We'll keep up as the race goes along and see if some of these paint jobs survive tonight's long distance endurance race. But 99 back there, also another pretty one. David Westergreen. I think that was maybe a Jeff Burton Sitco paint scheme at one point. He's repurposed it for 3 wide. So, oh, look at that. Joseph Ghazi in the I think that's, Trey Holmes in the 88. That's an old paint scheme there of Dale Jr. So this time around, they should be bunching up to be able to go green here in the next time by. I'd like to thank some of our sponsors. C2 Freight offers complete freight management service, always representing good here in Elite, and also with Jeff Green. And EDI Services with C2 Freight offers electronic data, interchange, and services. Allows shippers to be able to keep electronic tabs on their shipments through freight movement process. Also, Blue Egg Marketing Department for small businesses. Also got to be able to thank Powerhouse Recycling. These drivers are already starting to moan and complain about each other. That's how you know they're going to go green and go hard early on. You can't hear them, but I can. These drivers are already starting to throw out the insults as they're ready to go. It's almost like tempting the bull as they start to go about getting they all set up to go green here. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. See Thornquest's in the chat here. He's about to go green here in a second, so I doubt he'll be in the chat for too much longer. But the pace car will be going green. I'll give the truck salute here, but it's going to be for Xfinity. We're about to go green where the racing gets good and the good gets racing. And we're going to go full distance racing here at Charlotte. Trevor Elam gets out to a very good run. And Scott Crump is able to get down into the bottom lane. He's going to be in second position. He jumps right in front of Ethan Burrell. And right behind Tyler Fody, right on the back bumper is Matthew Weeks. Already starting to push Tyler Fody down the back straightaway there. Got to make sure that we don't hit bumpers here because we're at a 1.5 mile track. They'll easily turn you around. Looks like the 12 car there going to take a little bit of a higher line there of Vincent Isabella. Wonder how Vincent Isabella was able to make up so many positions. We had a few drivers had to go to the back of the field here. It looks like Garrison Hogan was one of those drivers that also had to go to the back. So a few drivers actually had to go to the back. Tyler Popp, Ethan Burrell was actually given an EOL. Mark Revols is also one of those drivers that had to go all the way to the back. So yeah, we're going to have even more drivers having to work their way back up from the field from a good qualifying order. One of those, Ethan Burrell. So keep an eye on some of those drivers as they try to work their way up through the field. Got a good battle starting to shape up there for the with Jeff Green's area right there for the 6th place as he's underneath Jay. Unable to get it done as the 9 car gets a good run coming out of turn 1 and 2. It's actually going to have some speed. Maybe putting a battle up for Chad Thornquist there for the 6th position. All these drivers finding the low lane early on being the preferred groove as we come around to complete lap 4, or lap 3 actually. We'll see here. Get a little bit of information to find out when the stages are, as I'm not quite sure. They'll be racing to the next, if there is a stage caution. So it looks like a good battle between the 9 and the 02 going into turn 3 here. Looks like the 9 is going to be able to get and hook around the bottom line and clear coming out of turn 4 to take over that 6th place. So Jay Connor is going to actually move up one position. And now he's going to try to see if he can track down the two cars battling in front of him of Matthew Weeks and Tyler Fody. So far green in this race, as a lot of these drivers are starting to settle down for a long run here for the 200 laps that are for completion tonight. Fody is able to stay in front of Matthew Weeks coming out of turn 3 and 4 down the front straightaway. A lot of drivers with differing strategies. Some of them deciding to try to save early on. Some of them are going to try to get to the front and maybe play the caution strategy. Drivers were given 6 sets, so 5 sets of tires in to the pit stall. So they'll have a few chances to be able to put on tires as the night goes on. So far, single file for the majority of the packs. We'll find out here as they put down rubber that racing groove is going to start moving on up. Right now, the preferred line has been right around the bottom. Looks like we have one driver tucking in underneath another. Oh, almost makes contact. That was number 15, Chad Frankenfield and Chad Thornquist. Chad Frankenfield dove it into turn 3 and almost slid right up into Chad Thornquist. Unable to make any kind of gains on him as he had to chuck up quite a bit just to make sure he didn't run to the back of that 02 car. 02 has a lot higher of a groove going around as he is starting to work up a little bit higher on the track compared to his competitors. One driver starting to work, trying to get away from this long snake line is Trevor Elam. He's starting to get out to about a half a second lead over Scott Crump. And he gains even a little bit more. Gains one more tenth as he's you gotta wonder if he's putting a little bit too much speed into his car here early on, trying to get away from Scott Crump, or is Scott Crump holding up this entire line as right behind him is Vincent Isabella from the 7th position. So Vincent Isabella, both with gains from EOL penalties of drivers in front of him and starting to work that bottom lane pretty well. Vincent Isabella finds himself in 3rd, starting to battle with Scott Crump. So one of those drivers that is starting to work his way up through the field here pretty quickly. Chad Frankenfield so far one of the drivers that's gaining the most spots early on here as he went from 17th position and he finds himself at 9th. As looks like Matthew Weeks is going to try one more time underneath Fody going around 3 and 4. See if he can be able to get a little bit better grip, and it doesn't look so as Fody easily is able to clear himself going down the front straightaway. Looks like you don't want to be in the high line unless you have to defend, and when you defend, you have plenty of grip for defending. But so far, I'm not seeing any drivers use it as a normal driving line. But what we are seeing here is the whole pack is starting to slowly get back to the back bumper of Trevor Elam as he is starting to slow down ever so much. Makes you go back to where we thought maybe he might be going a little too hard early on, trying to get a gap, and definitely seems that might be the case here as they are slowly starting to reel him back in. Got a battle there starting to shape up. I believe that's the 19 of Tooker underneath the number 9 vehicle there. David Tooker started in the 13th position, and he is slowly starting to gain his way back up. But once again, the inside lane is the preferred lane, but also still very difficult to be able to control the momentum and complete a pass, as the outside lane is just good enough to be able to clear themselves coming out of the turn. As Dave Tooker's going to fall right back in line. One position that was just changed over, though, is Fody did collect the third place from Vincent Isabella, so Fody now finds himself up one more position. He started back in the 9th place position, and he now finds himself in 3rd, so a good gain so far, 14 laps into this race. A little bit of a gap starting to form in between both Jeff Green and Jesse Reisman of the 70 car. A little bit of a gapping starting to space out between the, I guess you would say, groups of drivers, as looks like the top 10 cars are starting to distance themselves from the rest of the pack. See if we can go back to the back of the field here, where the battles are still forming and still battling. It looks like a couple drivers are starting to work their way back up, but good battle starting to form at the lead too, as Ryan here's got us showing the 90 car of Scott Crump. He's bided his time all the way until now. Looks like he's going to start gaining on Trevor Elam. Trevor Elam has led every single lap so far at the start of this race, but here comes Scott Crump as you take an onboard shot here, and you can kind of get the gapping showing there behind the leader. Looks like he's definitely got some speed more than the 29 going down the straightaways, as he takes a higher lane in 1 and 2. This time around, Scott Crump takes a lower lane and loses it all going down the straightaway. So that gives you a good idea of where you gain and lose depending on what line. You go for the low line if you want to gain in the turns, but down these straightaways, it looks like that high lane definitely has an advantage down for the amount of speed that you can carry. Well, don't look now, Scott Crump, as Tyler Fody is trying to go back-to-back wins here at Charlotte, as he is slowly starting to catch both the leaders. One of the few drivers that we've actually seen make successful passes here late in this run, as he is now finds himself in 3rd position. Scott Crump once again taking a higher lane, as you see an onboard shot. I feel like once the tires start wearing out, we'll have more and more of these side-by-side action, more and more lanes being picked and choose to where you're going to run, what's going to fit you better, and also find out who's been saving better than the others. Well, while this run is going on, we're going to go back to the 23rd position back there, where we got a good battle shaping up with looks like Goodman in a throwback paint scheme that looks beautiful out there. It's Goodman in the 24th position. As there's a huge gaggle of cars back there. Goodman in that, I ran that paint scheme one time for a elite race, as he's got the, I believe that's the, is that beef? No, the Slim Jim. I can't believe I almost said beef jerky. Slim Jim cars. Now he gets a battle from, I believe, that is a battle with Joshua Adams, one of the drivers that had to come from all the way back. Completes the pass, Joshua Adams does, and now he's going to slowly start catching up to the back of the 8 car of Josh Robbins. Goodman in that Slim Jim car. This doesn't say Slim Jim, but that's what I see at this point. Slim Jim car running a little higher groove there, as you see how tight the battling is back there. Well, 3-car breakaway up in front, starting to distance himself from the rest of the pack. It looks like Vincent Isabella leads that back pack, with the number 9 car rounding out into the 5th place position. Chad Frankenfield and Jeff Green right there in 9th and 10th. So as the run goes on, we're finding more and more drivers starting to get into these groups where maybe a slower driver in front is starting to bunch them all up. that there's a lot of contact coming along in the back of the pack as drivers are trying to work their way up to the field. Looks like that's the number one there. That's uh, that's Harrison Hogan or Garrison Hogan, one of those drivers that had to get an EOL early on, trying to work his way up. He finds himself now into the. He just worked himself into the 25th position, went 3 wide for a second there. That's where a lot of the contact was starting to come from, as he made a pass on Josh Robin. Now he's starting to look to try to see if he can get the outside groove working, see if he can be able to pass Josh Adams and maybe the 06 there of Ryan Schuh. A little bit of close contact there. It looks like the one of Garrison almost led up there into the 06. Was able to stop the forward momentum progress as he almost went sliding right into him. But what that did do is open up the gapping there for Josh Robin to try to see if he can be able to work his way up through. And it looks like he might just do that going into turn one, and he does. He clears himself forward. That's back there in the 26th position. So the battling, as I well know, is hard and fierce in this Xfinity with Elite, as there's going to be battling for even the last place position, as there's so many good drivers in this series. Most of these drivers have been in with Elite for many years at this point, as they've all competed together. They all know how each one of themselves drives, as they've all been league racing together. But good battle starting to shape up here. That's for the second place position. That's Scott Crump and Tyler Fode there starting to battle, as Tyler Fode is trying to work that bottom lane in, see if he can be able to try to get at least a nose clear ahead of Scott Crump. Right now, he's fell back in behind him, but Scott Crump running a much higher lane. Either that's due to tire loss, or maybe he feels more comfortable up there. Oh, we got to give credit to Trevor Elam, as we had thought that maybe he was pushing the tires too much, but so far, as we're 27 laps in, they are still up front, or he's still up front, and we're still green. So he's been doing right by his tires for that much. Good battling, still shaping up here for second place. Tyler Fode is doing a well of a job wrapping around that white line right around the bottom there, 1 and 2. He is going to be able to get to the inside of Scott Crump going into turn 3. Scott Crump once again taking a higher lane. We'll find out if he's got the grip to be able to run it off out of the turn with momentum. But the best run he's had yet is it looks like Tyler Fode is actually going to have the momentum here. Scott Crump may have the lift there, as Tyler Fode now clears himself for second place, and now he's going to go to work on the leader up front. See if he can be able to catch him back up. They're battling, lost him nearly a second to the leader, so Tyler Fode's going to have to try to work his way back up to the leader, as just going side by side like that between the two drivers lost them about a second of pace to the leader. Well, last night, as David says into the chat, we had 9 lead changes in the final stage, 60 laps in the Truck Series. I'm going to be interested. We haven't had a lead change yet early on, but we kind of saw that in the Truck Series as well. As the run goes on and strategy plays out, we'll find drivers doing as much as they can to try to find their way up to the front. So even if your favorite driver is not up to the front right now, that does not mean that they're out of contention. We saw last night Vincent Isabella run outside the top 25 for the majority of that race, and then caution him and brought him right to the front of the field and nearly won the thing. So your driver, no matter what position they are in right now, as long as they're still running, they do have a chance with strategy and however kind of maneuverability they can do to be able to get themselves out front still have a chance in this race, as you see really tough racing starting to form here between the 11, 12, and 02. That's Weeks. That's Vincent Isabella and Chad Thornquist, as it looks like Weeks is going to be stuck to the high lane, as Vincent Isabella is going to get almost a bump drafting move shove from Chad Thornquist. Well, don't look here, or don't look now. Looks like Chad Frankenfield also is going to be able to get around Weeks. So just within one lap, Weeks goes and loses 4 spots to his competitors there and drops himself back into the 10th place, as now Chad Thornquist is going to try to make short work of Vincent Isabella, already back underneath him, as Vincent Isabella is going to try to fight back on the outside here in turn 1 and 2. He's going to hold the high lane. Where's Chad Frankenfield going to go? Is he going to go with a fellow Chad, or is he going to go up there with Vincent? Right now, he is not close enough to be able to help either one. Oh, a little bit of a bobble from Chad Thornquist as he almost slides into Vincent. Vincent is trying to get back down to block that low lane from Chad Frankenfield. Is he going to be able to get it? It looks like he does just enough. Upset the front end of the 15 as the 15 of Chad Frankenfield loses his nose and slides up. So it looks like Vincent Isabella is going to hold on to that 7th place position in front of Chad Frankenfield here. But right behind Chad Frankenfield, slowly and surely, he is starting to get some pace going on here. That is Jeff Green, the Xfinity Real Life champion there, starting to see if he can be able to find his way up to the front. And we're going to go back up to the front because here comes Goody. And Goody is coming fast, about a 1/10 of a second on your leader of Trevor Elon. And now he finds himself coming around this time right to around 3/10 of a second behind the leader. So about 2/10 of a second, even quicker than I had predicted. He just chopped the lead in half from the previous lap. So Tyler Fody is starting to spread his wings and fly tonight. As he is flying around this track around the bottom, still doing just one of the better jobs of being able to arc his car in and stay to the bottom without a single bobble of that 40 car. So he is now just within 1/10 of the 29. We may have our first lead change here, coming to 36 laps to go, as Tyler Fody now is within 1 car length from your leader. We'll see if Fody's starting to look low. Trevor Elon's going to give him the bottom. Fody, and now it's going to be to the inside. Battle for the lead. And 3 and 4, they're going to come around, and we're going to have a lead lap change here on lap 37. Fody looks like he's going to have the nose ahead, but here comes Trevor Elon. It is going to be Fody across the line, so lap led by Fody on lap 38. Slides up off the bottom just a little bit, going to give a little bit more minimum run for the 29. A little bit more of a bobble there from Fody as he is trying to push down on that loud pedal and be able to get that bottom hooked up. But with a battling 29 above him, he's going to slide up. Oh, they made a little bit of contact. Oh, that little bit of contact is that Trevor Elon is not ready to give up the lead this time by. Trevor Elon will lead. So back to the 29 for leading this lap, and Fody has not given up the bottom, but he keeps sliding up. Trevor Elon is now having to give him room for fear of his own car's life, as last time around it nearly cost him a race run as he almost got turned around by that last bobble. But Fody is not giving up. He will continue to try to wrap around the white line and gets a very good run as Trevor Elon has a bobble. And now Fody finds himself solely in the lead on lap 39. So now we flip-flopped once again, and Fody is now in front of the field. Trevor Elon will be able to get back in behind him, and now is going to have to try to ride around to see if he can be able to either play tire strategy or some kind of way to be able to catch back up to Fody, who has worked his way up from the 9th starting grid to the lead and within 39 laps. Well, Oh, well, we knew it wasn't going to last forever. We knew lead changes were going to come. We just had a few right there. And it definitely was an exciting way to show it as that's just how fast and how hard these drivers are pushing it. They are wanting to lead every lap they can as Fody nearly had to turn the 29 just to be able to get around the 29 trying to hook that outside lane. So there is definite speed on the outside for defense, but we'll have to find out later on in the run here. Did that running up high lay any kind of rubber down, and will the high lane start to work its way in? As of right now, most of the drivers still are hooking around the bottom. Well, let's see if we can get back here as we have a three wide, almost three wide battle. That looks like all the way back there in number 14, Hunter Smith. That's back there in 16, 17. And the 70 gets a little loose on the outside there. Good side-by-side battle there as we still have some very highly contested spots to go. That's the 32 of Dustin Durr. He finds himself up there in the 13th position. And you see a battle always starting to shape up. Again, we go back to the number one here as we do an onboard shot. And he's been having to start from the 35th position, working his way up. And now you see the gaggle of cars in front of him. He has a little bit of front end damage too, so that is going to affect his car. But right in front of him, what's going to affect his car even more is where are you going to go? The bottom lane is where most drivers prefer, but even if he decided to take the high lane, they're side by side, 2x2 there in front of him with not much of an option for him to go, but he will eventually have a battle behind him, as I believe that's his teammate of Ethan Burrell, another one of those drivers that got an EOL, had a great starting position for Ethan, but he now finds himself in the 19th position. As these drivers are side by side still for the 13th and 14th position. Looks like David Westergreen in that 99 that Jeff Burtonski trying to wrap around the high side lane and try to find a way to be able to get down to the bottom when he can, as he almost made a little contact with the one of Garrison there. Well, now Dustin Durr is going to float to the high side. 99 car goes really high. I don't think that was by choice there. I think the car might have lost the nose and he went a little higher than he probably wanted, as he's going to lose a couple positions from that bobble. You see Dustin Durr, also one of those drivers, starting to lose a couple of the positions from some of these hard charters from the back of the field. Like the number one. 32 gets almost into the outside wall coming up the floor. You got to be oh so careful. That wall will sneak up and get you. Easier and more in turn 4 than just about anywhere on the racetrack, as Dustin Durr almost learned that the hard way. Is able to stay off the wall and continue going, but that's one of the downfalls of running that high side lane there. Is it gets you ever so close to that outside wall, but he is going to be able to save the car. He's going to be behind the number 13 of Tyler Popp. Tyler Popp also, again, one of those drivers that had an EOL. So this whole group of drivers right here that you see in this frame, these three drivers had to go from the back and are starting to work their way back up. Tyler Popp had a very decent run in the truck race last night here at Charlotte. And I'm hearing some people are deciding to pit here. We got a couple of takers for pit road to try to see if they can make a strategy call here. I think it's the 02 of Chad Thornquist is coming down pit road. You got to be careful because the pit road has a wall right there. So if you overshoot the wall, it's not like you're going to go out in the grass. You're going to hit a wall. So they just put walls out here. I believe that's set up for the road course, but they leave it up for the entire, even for the oval races here. So Chad Thornquist coming down to take 4 fresh tires here. Well, that opens the door. We'll find out if that's the floodgates or not to allow more drivers to start to partake in the feeling of fresh tires. Fode's still starting to gap his lead over Trevor Elam. He is now over a second over the 29 car. So, not sure if Fode is going to be one of those that decides to pit early. He may decide to try to go as long as he can, as he doesn't really have a need. As we see a little bit of smoke lock up from another driver trying to go down pit lane in front of Fode there. Ryan Barbarelli, another one of those drivers coming down pit road. So we are starting to get more and more drivers starting to go down. See Tyler Fode, or that's actually that's David Hooker starting to battle for the fourth place over Jay here, and that's going to be a battle for fourth. David Hooker started in 13th position, gets a little loose coming out of turn 4, but he corrects it, and he stayed on the gas the entire time as he never lost a single momentum there. As he was able to keep right to the back bumper of the 9 car, never lifted. So he's getting after it, trying to see if he can be able to make this position and find himself into the top 4. As here comes Jeff Green onto the outside of Chad Frankenfield, going into turn 3. And Chad Frankenfield loses the nose, and there goes Jeff Green taking the position. Now he will try to see if he can go to battle with Trey Holm and Vincent Isabella right in front of him. So Jeff Green now finds himself in the 8th place position. Well, we're already 1/4 of the way through. It goes by quick when it's green flag. Not a caution yet in this race as drivers playing caution to the long race ahead of them, and they have been slowly, or quickly actually, I shouldn't say slowly, quickly starting to put down these laps as we're already over 1/4 of the way through. But Jeff Green is starting to put down the speed as this run goes along, as now he finds himself underneath and slides up, almost makes contact with Vincent Isabel. We find ourselves always getting right into the shot, right when a driver, we might be adding looseness to the car with this camera, as he found himself starting to slide up into the 12 car, as now he's going to have to allow that fast 02 with fresh tires. That was one of our first drivers with fresh tires. That's Chad Thornquist starting to work around and trying to see if he can find himself back on the lead lap just by pure speed at this point. These cars are starting to squeeze around. Looks like David Tucker was able to get that 4th place position. Now finds himself 5 seconds behind the leader, Tyler Fode. As Chad Frankenfield has started to lose tires, as he is starting to lose the back of Jeff Green. We'll find out if Chad Frankenfield is going to bite the bullet and come down pit road early for tonight. But looks like as a lot of drivers out with new tires. That's 87. That's Richard Hines with new tires, starting to work around the field, starting to get his position back as well from being a lap down. As about half the field is already pitted. We only have 26 cars on the lead lap. Some of those lapped by just being passed by the leader normally, but otherwise, a lot of drivers have gone down pit road. Here's a few of them going down pit road now. One of those is Jeff Green, one of those drivers that was making a good run, as well as Vincent Isabella in the 9 car. So we're starting to see now our leaders starting to pit. Looks like the 29 as well has already gone down pit road. So now Fode will have to, as his closest competitor has gone down pit road, he doesn't want to have to try to see if he doesn't want to have to compete with a driver get back out in front of him. So he's now going to come down pit road and see if he can be able to merge back in front of the 29 and stay out in front of this race once everything cycles out. So Tyler Fode from the lead. Looks like Scott Crump is going to lead this lap coming around. So Scott Crump will be credited for a lap lead, as he is still having to contend with all the drivers with new tires, trying desperately to get around them as quickly as possible. Now here comes Scott Crump, wiggling and having the back end wag like a dog as he gets it woed down for pit road speed. So does the 1, very aggressive there for the one as he ducked onto the apron before the car was even close to slowing down. Matthew Weeks is now the newest driver to find himself out in front of the field, staying out wise with old tires. As you see, Trevor Elon starting to work around him on the outside, as well as the 08 of Mark Keeler starting to work around onto the outside. There's another one of those drivers starting to come back up through the. That's Brendan Jones there, as he's got himself a nice Dale Earnhardt, or maybe that's Casey Kane. No, that's Dale Earnhardt. That's what am I saying? That's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s paint scheme there, as he's coming down pit road now to get some tires on for Brent Jones. Always got to keep an eye on Brent Jones. He's one of those drivers that will find himself in the front of the field before you know it. No one knew where he came from. But we see the Slim Jim car of Michael Goodman now is out there leading a lap, as he's probably going to be coming down this time. Yes, he is. Now Harrison Talon will take over lead. So if we were counting lead changes, there was quite a few just there. So now we got Harrison Talon out there with the lead. And he leads lap 61 as he takes a very high lead. I think that's just due to the lack of grip and trying to let faster cars with tires go around. But he will be one of the last drivers to have stayed out, as he gets that lap credited for a lead. Now behind, as he comes down pit road, this should start to cycle everybody back out. As it looks now, with strategy, Chad Thornquist, one of those drivers that pitted very early with new tires, now finds himself out in front of the field, and he finds himself out in front of Tyler Fode for about 5 seconds. So he put good use to those tires early on, as he was able to put a pretty hefty gap between him and Tyler Fode. I wouldn't suspect Tyler Fode is going to be back there for much longer, as you see just with our clicker how quickly those drivers are starting to catch back up already just down the backstretch. Tyler Fode is almost taken a half a second off of our leader. That's just with a difference between about 15 laps of tire differences between those two drivers, as it is showing to be quite a bit of a difference. As now Tyler Fode is just about 4 seconds, so just under a lap, or just over a lap, he'll be about a second quicker. So he is about 7/10 a lap quicker than our leader of Chad Thornquist. So now Chad Thornquist is just hoping for the next yellow before he gets swallowed up by the group of drivers with fresh tires. Well, let's see if we can get a rundown of our top team as they stand right now. We'll start off with Chad Thornquist up at the front here. Chad Thornquist started in the 6th position, finds himself in the lead with strategy. We'll see if that's going to last for much longer. Right behind Chad Thornquist, we have Tyler Fode in the 40 car. He finds himself now just about 3 seconds behind Tyler Fode. He started back in the 9th position, starting to work his way up the field here and pass all these cars with little older tires than him. And then right behind Tyler Fode, driver that's been with a little bit of strategy but with a lot of speed, has been Tyler Pop. A driver that may not get talked about that much, as he's not one driver that most of these guys have seen too much of. But Tyler Pop now finds himself in the 3rd position, so working his way back up through the field from that EOL penalty. David Tooker is in 4th place. He started back in 13th, so he's starting to work his way up through the field. Trevor Elam, one of those drivers you see right in frame right there, he just now gets himself into the 5th place position. So Trevor Elam trying to see if he can get back to Fode. As right behind him, one of those drivers with a little older tires, that's Jesse Reisman in the 70. He started back in 21st, so good run for him here early on. And then behind the 70, as actually he just lost his spot to Scott Crump. Scott Crump just takes away that position from the 70. So Scott Crump now finds himself into the 6th position. We gotta go quick because the longer we go, the faster these changing of positions here. As back there in the 8th position is the number 9 car, that all black vehicle starting to work on over the 70 to see if he can, and he does very easily and very quickly. Takes over that 7th position. So Jay there now finds himself in 7th position. So we'll go back there into the 9th position of Ray Barbarelli. As you see a gaggle of cars on screen here, Fody trying to work his way through lap traffic. Rounding out our top 10 here, Chad Frankenfield finds himself in the 10th position. So that's our top 10. And before you know it, probably within a lap, some of that will change once again as drivers are coming and going around this racetrack. One of my favorite numbers, lap 69, is on the track right now as we are coming to almost halfway in this race, quicker than we know it. He's about 30 laps away from halfway as Tyler Fody still starting to catch up onto the back of and passes right there of Chad Thornquist. So battle for the lead already said and done as Tyler Fody makes quick work of the 0-2 and now finds himself back out front on lap 7. So Chad Thornquist will be happy he got to at least lead lap 69. But he is in desperate need of a caution as his tires will slowly start to whittle away. But he has about a 5-second over the 3rd place driver, so he has a little bit of room before the next fastest car will catch him as Tyler Fody is starting to work up through the field here. He's about to get to that Taco Bell car of Daniel Martinez. Not sure who ran that car, but I do like Taco Bell. I actually had that for dinner tonight, so what the ding sound in my head as he goes around as that was good dinner. As Daniel Martinez now finds himself one lap down, back there in the 27th position. Next to go a lap down here will be the 42 of Michael Hozak. So he is starting to find himself in more and more lap traffic as we're already down to about once Michael Hozak goes a lap down here, there will be only 25 cars onto the lead lap. So Cody has quite a few lap cars between him and the closest fresh tire strategy car of Tyler or David Hooker with similar age tires as him. As David Hooker finds himself about 5 seconds back from Tyler Fody. Well, I asked Tyler Fody if it came down to tonight, if him and Chad Frankenfield would get at it. I didn't think Fody wouldn't have anything to worry about, as I thought maybe he'd be battling with someone and see if maybe he could go side by side at the finish line once again like he did last night. Doesn't look like he wants anyone to compete with him, as he is now starting to distance himself up from the entire field. It'll be a little time before Tyler Fody catches the back of the next quickest car, but we got a good battle starting to shape up here for the 13th position as Trey Holmes and Ethan Burrow are starting to battle it back here for the 13th and 14th position. It looks like Ethan Burrow is going to be able to get to the inside and completes the pass on Trey Holmes. So Ethan Burrow still trying to find his way back up to the front from his EOL penalty. And he's almost knocking on the door now of the top 10. Now in 13th, the next driver in front of him will be Ryan Paparelli. Ryan Paparelli is on much older tires than him, so shouldn't be too much longer. Should almost be this lap, maybe this turn, that he actually completes that pass as he finds himself underneath Ryan. Across the line. And yes, Ethan Burrow will get that position. So now we find a battle between Jeff Green, one of the drivers that late in the run on older tires was doing a really good job of being able to keep the tires on in front of him. Now he finds himself in a very big battle with Joshua Adams in the 1 of Garrison Hogan, as both the 1 and the 56 have been battling all the way up through the field. For the majority of that run, it was the 1 in front of the 56, but now the 56 finds himself in that gold-plated front-end car, finds himself in front of the 1, and now trying to work himself, get further along into the top 10 as he finds himself now in the 9th place position. Green flag run for this entire race so far, as these drivers have been doing a really good job of being able to give space. It looks like now the 1 car is going to take the position from the 38 there of Jeff Green. Looks like we have another battle here. That's going to be Chad Frankenfield starting to catch up to the back of the 9 car, and Tyler Popp there. So a battle for our 6th, 7th, and 8th position right there, coming out of turn 4 and across the line, as Chad Frankenfield, one of those drivers that was falling back late in the run, now starting to have a lot of speed, as he is trying to get past both these drivers as quickly as possible. But already in this long run, they already find themselves back almost 12 seconds from the leader of Tyler Fody. Chad Frankenfield working the bottom lane once again on the 9 car, still yet to be able to surge in front as the 9 car gets a little bit of a bobble. So here might be the advantage for Chad Frankenfield going into turn 1. See if Chad Frankenfield's able to keep the front nose underneath him to be able to complete the pass. Now Chad Frankenfield, after completing the pass on the 9 car, starting to take a battle with the 13 of Tyler Popp, as he finds himself once again underneath another driver. Coming around turn 4 is going to have the nose advantage, but Tyler Popp did a good job coming out of that turn as well. So good battle here for the 6th position, as Chad Frankenfield was awarded that position across the line. So now Chad Frankenfield finds himself in front of both of these drivers, now has the difficult task of trying to gain about 4.5 seconds to the next competitor in front of him. So as this race goes along, these gappings are starting to space out, and it makes it even more difficult for these drivers to start to work their way up to the next driver. Got to give a great shout out to Chad Thornquist, but it looks like Chad Thornquist is about to lose the 2nd place position to David Tooker, as David Tooker is just now within a couple car lengths of our 2nd place driver of Chad Thornquist. Nine car able to complete the pass for the 7th position over Tyler there. As we see that battle going on and continuing, as Chad Thornquist has done a well of a job keeping David Tooker behind him, even though he has much older tires. What that's done is allowed the 29 car of Trevor Elon, 4th position, start to catch up to both of these drivers. So good battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place position right now. David Tooker underneath Chad Thornquist here in 1 and 2. Oh, Chad Thornquist gets sideways up there, loses a lot of tire grip there. He had smoke coming out of the car. He got so sideways out of turn 2. David Tooker able to get the 2nd place position over Chad Thornquist. Chad Thornquist isn't going to have much time to breathe, as the 29 has already started to work his way up to the 4th place or 3rd place position of Chad Thornquist. So 29 of Trevor Elam trying to get back into a fighting position for the up front of this pack, as all these drivers find themselves nearly 7 seconds behind from Tyler Fody. As Tyler Fody has been putting on a clinic up front. Oh, so there's going to be a little pinch maneuver there. 29 almost got the 02 stuck behind the 42 of believe, yeah, that was Michael Hozak of the 42. So Chad Thornquist almost got pit maneuvered almost there as he almost got stuck behind the 42. So Trevor Elon is going to now uh, complete the pass and find himself in the third position. Now going to try to see if he can go battle with David Tooker for the second place position coming out of two. We got a good group of people watching on YouTube chat. Be sure to subscribe. And if you got a favorite driver, let us know if you've got a driver on the track that you want to get an update from. We're more than happy to be able to, if there's a driver out there that you want to get an eye on to see how they're running, see if they still got a pretty looking car tonight, go ahead and put their name into the driver chat or into the race chat here, and we'll see if we can pull them up as the night goes along. Maybe do a little shout out for your favorite driver. So if anyone's watching tonight here, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to provide your favorite driver with a little television time. As green flag run is still continuing, 88 lap green flag run so far this night. Tyler Fode still out front, up to just about a 7-second lead over David Tooker. As David Tooker now has just Tyler Fode in front of him. But I say that it's a little tiny speck in front of him, not really a whole car. As Tyler Fode is well out front here for this race. Still 23 cars on the lead lap as the next driver to go a lap down would be Harrison Talon. Zach Evans was the last driver to be put one lap down from Tyler Fode as he's starting to work onto the back end of the 06 there. Loses a little bit of a front nose trying to move past that part. So Tyler Fode is having an easy time of it so far. One caution will change all that for sure, as it will bunch all these drivers back up. And most of his heavy hitting contender had ended up starting all the way in the back of the field. And now, as the green flag run has gone along, it's allowed for a lot of those drivers to find themselves now not too far out of the top 10 or within battling limit, but the caution should come out. Another pass for Scott Crump as he was able to get around Chad Thornquist. So Scott Crump now finds himself into the fourth place position. And now Chad Thornquist counting down the laps to the next time he can come down pit road as he will be thankful to be able to put on some fresh tires once again. See a three-way battle there with two drivers going side by side coming up on the lap car. That's number 9. It looks like Garrison there is trying to see if he can be able to find a lane to be able to get around the number 9 car there for the 8th place position. Looks like he's actually going to be able to get to the outside as caution is out. Our first caution of the night on lap 93, as it looks like we got damage for the 14 car. That's Hunter Smith. He's missing a front bumper, so has to be probably related around there if I was to believe it. Yeah, it looks like there was with the 14 car, so we'll get a replay here of what ended up happening there with the 14 car of Hunter Smith. So he gets into turn 1, and it looks like the 64 there of Andrew Rucker just gets into the back of the 14 and turns them around. And the 7 car with nowhere to go, Joseph Causey slams the 14, and the 14 slides right up into the 87 and takes out the 87 car there as well. So a 4-car wreck going into 1 and 2. As Richard Hines had nowhere to go and makes hard contact. So we're going to go on board a little farther back here. This is number 70 here. See, we'll get a far away view of all the contact being made. Luckily for him, he able to get down to also so close. He almost got collected in that. He made a right call there going low. He did. He waited any time. He was going to be a part of that mayhem. Well, here comes our lead lap drivers as they come down to take on another set of tires. As that was two. They were almost coming down for another set anyhow. Luckily, this came out before some drivers found themselves a lap down with tire strategies. So this helped out drivers such as Chad Thornquist. He's now going to be able to even his pace up and stay in the fifth position when he comes down pit road, and even his tire strategy out with the rest of these drivers. As we have a view of down pit road to find out who's able to come out of pit road first. Easily, Tyler Fody is going to lead us to the green here, but really close. Couldn't get an idea of who was ahead of who. Trevor Elam there with his pole positioning front and starting position pit stall. He only had to go a couple feet. He might have gotten the 19 across the finish or across that line to set our starting order for this green flag run that will continue after this caution. Well, Tyler Fody now finds himself with not as big of a lead as he had. Is probably the only driver that was pretty satisfied with how things were going, and the long green flag run was Tyler Fody, as he had nearly a 7.5 second lead over the rest of the field. Uh, he's going to be quite sad that that lead is now going to shrink very quickly here, as now it looks like actually David Tooker was the one to win the battle off of pit road between him and Trevor Elam. So now David Tooker finds himself into the second position. As they come around, they will see if the pace lights come out to see if we're going to be able to go green flag next time by. But want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors: Lens Creative Web Development Graphics. Lens is a professional web development and graphic firm located in Indiana. Their designs have been featured for local businesses, professional motorsports. Check them out on lenscreative.com. So if you're looking for maybe a paint scheme for your iRacing car that you have a favorite series to run in, give them a shout, and he'll make you up something pretty sweet and nice to try to show off in. And also thank you out there to NASCAR RPG. NASCAR RPG is a spreadsheet-based team management simulation. They do a lot of game merchandise, Google Sheets. Give them a shout out. They even have a Discord server if you want to join them. NASCAR RPG. Powerhouse Recycling, another one of our long running services that have been a part of us. They're a North Carolina market leader in customer service. As you see, our drivers starting to bunch up to go green this time by. It looks like Fody is actually going to take the outside lane for the start of this restart here. pace car will be coming off this time, as our leaders are going to be side by side here, waiting on Fody to take the green. Right behind him will be Scott Crump, also Chad Frankenfield behind Scott Crump, all looking to try to take advantage of the leader starting in their lane. So here comes the pace car, and very early start for Tyler Fody as he gets onto the gas pedal very quickly. As now we got a good side by side battle for the second position there. That's with Scott Crump and David Tooker. Scott Crump trying to hold on to the outside lane to get the momentum down the back straightaway, as he's going to go side by side there with David Tooker. Going into turn 3, Chad Frankenfield onto the outside of the 29 car, trying to follow Scott Crump there on the outside, as they are still side by side this time by. All to the benefit of Tyler Fody, who is starting to slowly starting to distance himself from the field once again. But now clearing himself is Scott Crump out in front of David Tooker, and Chad Frankenfield able to make quick work of the 29 as well. But one driver not wasting any time, trying to get up there as quickly as possible is Tyler Pop, as he now finds himself underneath a Chad Frankenfield to his outside. So Tyler Pop in that 13 car trying to get that low lane working, as he actually misses the bottom lane, and it's going to actually allow Chad Frankenfield to complete the maneuver to get back in front of the 13 car. So now Tyler Pop will have to collect it back up again and see if he can slowly reel back in Chad Frankenfield to try to make a maneuver. But Chad Frankenfield wasting no time as well to try to take that momentum to Tyler Fode, or to David Tooker, and try to see if he could be able to make a pass. But once again, it looks like the bottom lane is very difficult to keep the nose underneath you, as it looks like Chad Frankenfield loses the nose on his car and also allows David Tooker to be able to stay in front of him. So every time one of these drivers gets underneath another one, they lose the front nose, and then it just there goes your any type of momentum of passing, as that outside lane, at least early on here, in a new tire world, it just allows that outside lane to work out very well. As now David Tooker starting to reel back in Scott Crump to see if he can be able to go back in battle for that second place position. Miss the turn or miss the bottom and slide up the racetrack for them to be able to try to see if they can take battle. As with fresh tires, it's definitely a low lane game, as all of them try to wrap around the bottom and keep the momentum going. That looks like about a 4-car breakaway starting to form. So it looks like at least 3 of these cars are starting to reel back in Tyler Fody, who had about a 7/10 of a second lead. Now, as find it drop down to about a 4/10 of a second lead, as looks like there's a little bit of a gap starting to be made between Chad Frankenfield and Tyler Pop. Actually, a battle starting to brew right there, and underneath Tyler Pop is Trevor Elon. He finds himself a side-by-side battle there for the 4th place position, or 5th place position there, as the 29 is going to try to see if he can be able to get underneath them and not slide up, as he does. Does a pretty decent job of being able to catch it going into the turn, and actually has a really good runoff out of the turn. He might be able to clear him going into turn 1 here, as he does. Dives it in underneath there. Tyler Pop is going to try to drop down in between him, and I believe that's Joshua Adams. No, that's Chad Thornquist there, and try to chop off that low lane game of the O2 to try to see if he can get underneath him. As Tyler Pop able to salvage a sixth place running order right now. Chad Thornquist almost into the AstroTurf, trying desperately to get underneath, and does underneath the 13 there. So Chad Thornquist trying to be aggressive early on here to be able to see if he can get the lone lane working for him. So much so that he almost went off-roading to do so. Unable to make the completion of the pass as new tires to the outside lane. If you aren't able to clear them going in, you find yourself side by side. That outside lane has so much momentum that they are very easy to be able to clear themselves back in front of you. Yeah, good battling there. We've got close battling starting to brew there between Chad Frankenfield and David Hooker. Chad Frankenfield tried to make that outside groove work and loses a little bit of time. But what that did do is it gave a lot of momentum to the 19. As it doesn't look like the 19 of David Tucker is just yet ready to try to see about battling with Scott Crump as he stays behind the 90 car there. As Chad Frankenfield unable to keep down to the bottom of the racetrack once again. He's desperately trying to get that outside lane working for him. Tyler Cody again, once again, a really good run out of the turn, but doesn't do anything. But he stays to the back of the 90, just trying to keep him in tow with Tyler Cody that's in front of him. Doesn't want Cody to get out to the 7.5-second lead he had, but maybe David Tucker's done waiting here as he now finds himself battling with the 90 car. He finds himself underneath Scott Crump going into turn one. We'll see if he's able to get the nose hooked up and running along, or if Scott Crump going to have the momentum down the back straightaway. It does look like he is. So Scott Crump still driving the high lane, even though he was clear. But what it did do is it allowed Chad Frankenfield to try to see if he can follow through on the high side, and is unable to. So a lot of checker maneuvers here as everyone's trying to find a way to best be able to make the positions without wasting too much time or too much tire. As we complete 112 coming to 113. One caution so far tonight. It looks like some of the leaders are going to be starting to catch up on some of the traffic that may have stayed out with trying to get a wave around to save a set of tires, but they're about to go a lap down quickly here to all these fresh tires. Tucker must have had a bobble at some point in time because he has lost a lot of ground to Scott Crump and has allowed not just Chad Frankenfield to get back to his back bumper, but it's also allowed Trevor Elon to start catching both of those drivers. As you can see, I'm starting to pass some of those drivers now that stayed out on old tires to try to get the wave around. Looks like Trevor Elon actually taking a battle there to Chad Frankenfield and is able to clear Chad Frankenfield. Very strong run there for Trevor Elon as he finds himself now into the fourth position. Chad Frankenfield right to his back bumper though, as Chad Frankenfield doesn't try to make anything easy for sure. So far, majority in this run, Tyler Fody got out to about a little over a half a second lead, and that's where it's stuck to. No one's been able to gain past that half a second lead that he has earned for himself. As So the drivers both trying to team out their push or trying to find a way to get up to him have yet to do so as he continues to just set pace, even while in the midst of battling with lap down cars. See now, it looks like Scott Crump is able to get himself past a few of those lap cars as well as David Tooker and Trevor Elam just barely is able to clear himself to be able to do his wide sweep of maneuvers out of four, and now finds himself to the back bumper of David Tooker. So we'll see if the 29 car, who has shown great speed on an early run with fresh tires, see if he's able to do anything with Tooker here to see if he can be able to complete a pass. A little bit of smoke. I'm guessing someone locked up trying to go down pit road. Some of these drivers did not pit, so right around now would be the time that they normally would pit. So we'll see if a few drivers starting to work their way up through the field with fresh tires here shortly. But Trevor Elam is right on the back bumper of David Tucker there for the third place. He's been very aggressive early on here as he is able to. Looks like David Tucker gave it to him, or Trevor Elam has a really strong car going into the turn as he was able to clear him just one turn and now finds himself into the third place position as David Tucker gives him a little bit of a bump draft down the front straightaway. Trevor Elam not having as much of an issue as some of these drivers have had with trying to complete a pass as he's able to do so. Another driver that is working his way back up and has been doing so this entire race has been Joshua Adams as he just completes the pass on Tyler Pop for the seventh place position there. So now Joshua Adams can actually see the leader as well as try to contend with him as he is only about 2 seconds back. So majority of his passes have been under green. He now finds himself into to the heat of the battle here as he slowly starts to catch up to the back of Chad Lindquist. We see another battle here starting to shape up between Jeff Green and Garrison Hogan as looks like Jeff Green's going to take the high lead. And the one car there of Garrison is going to complete the pass coming out of Ford. So another one of those drivers that we've mentioned multiple times up through the night now has found himself into the ninth place position as he starts to try to work his game up to the front as well. As we come around the complete lap 124 of this full distance race here. Only one caution so far tonight, and we're already over halfway. So the drivers are now starting to find themselves in a position here where they can see the distance. They can see where the finish line is going to be. It's within reason. It's within 75 laps from now. So now it comes down to a lot of these drivers have plenty of tires saved up. If a caution comes out, I think we're going to see these drivers start to really start to push it as we get closer to this end of the race here. All of that saving of tires, all that saving of vehicles will go out the wind as we'll find our drivers racing hard to try to get up to the front. But that's if we have another caution. As cautions have been sparse, as the drivers here have been driving with a lot of courtesy, as well as the track has allowed for a majority of this race where it's a one groove, very low bottom racing groove racetrack. But as we've seen, as the race goes along and the drivers with new tires come out, people with old tires, it definitely widens the track out as drivers are all over the place trying to complete passes with fresh and old tires. So as this run goes along, and if we have another green flag pit stop, I'm sure we'll see a lot of these drivers with a lot of different lines going through the field. So right now, though, it's been all Tyler Fody out front. But we've seen our battle starting to mix up. One here that's starting to really shape up is that gold front bumper of Joshua Adams. He might find himself in the top 5 here before too long as he's starting to look underneath Chad Frankenfield. Chad Frankenfield takes a very dive bombing. Oh, see, we said dive bombing, but he really did take a dive bomb going into that turn. He almost slid up into the wall coming out of turn 4 and loses position for it, but he still has a car underneath him as he tried desperately to keep that 56 behind him and almost lost his vehicle for it. So now we have Joshua Adams. He finds himself now up to the 5th place position. Still only 2.5 seconds behind the leader. Definitely one of those drivers, if this race goes along, he's thankful for this long race as it has allowed him to slowly and cleanly get his way up towards the front. But we are starting to see a gap that we've seen earlier on in this race. Tyler Fody, with his consistency, no bobbles from him, has started to gain on his lead. Go time is go for him as he is starting to put some distance between him, Scott Crump, and Trevor Elam, as it's already about a 1.5 second distance between those drivers. Chad Frankenfield keeping those drivers behind him, but not for too much longer, as it looks like Chad Thornquist is going to be able to get underneath him going into turn 3. So we got a really good battle here between Chad Thornquist and Chad Frankenfield, as Chad Frankenfield finds himself up on that high lane. If he starts losing positions, we saw multiple times tonight, you just can't help it. Once you lose the first position, you lose all your momentum and you just start to fall back, as that's exactly what we're seeing now. So the only thing Chad Frankenfield can hope for is if he can find a way to be able to get down to the bottom, and he does so. Not only that, but he's also going to try to get underneath Chad Thornquist and try to retake back that 6th place position that he just lost to him. He was unable to, but he did slow up 13 enough that was behind him to allow the number 1 of Hogan to be able to get underneath them, and is going to not so much. I was about to say clear, but I can't say it just yet. 13 of Tyler Pop was able to stay onto the outside there of the number 1 car going in there. Looks like Hogan's going to dive it in, trying everything he can to be able to try to clear himself up. But Tyler Pop and the number 1 make a little contact. They're not willing to give it up, either one of them, as it looks like the 13 is finally going to lift out of the gas and allow the 1 to be able to complete the pass on going into 1. That was really close there, as we saw the number 1 there try to dive it in to be able to complete the pass, and when he was unable to, slid right into the number 1. And we have another battle here. This for 2nd place is Trevor Elam is trying to take battle to Scott Crump. He is unable to make the pass, but the battling will continue from here, and all that's doing is adding to the gap between them and Tyler Fody. Looks like we had another pass while we were focusing on that. It looks like Joshua Adams able to get around David Tooker, and we're back to the battle on hand between the 29 and the 90. Still trying to wrap around that bottom has been Trevor Elam. He's been, I would say, probably the second fastest driver tonight, if not maybe a top three driver so far tonight, especially as the run has gone along. Led earlier on before Tyler Fody took the inevitable lead and put the gap on him and the rest of the field. But side by side for the last few laps has been the 29 and 90, neither one giving it up just as of yet. And every time they go around side by side, Tyler Fody is able to put a couple tenths of a second distance between him and them, as both of them are fixated on passing each other. They will not give it up. They are still side by side, showing that there is an outside groove, as Scott Crump has been able to do a really good job of being able to wrap it around that high side. But Trevor Elam has been also doing a very good job of making sure the front of his car does not fall off and lose the bottom, as looks like this time around the 29 will have an advantage over the 90, but the 90 still trying to get the momentum with him on the high side and carries it very well around turn 1 and 2. Is the 29 going to try to make a clean pass here and dive in front of him? He does, just in front of Scott Crump. Scott Crump is now pushing the 29 down the back straightaway. So clean pass, but we got a spin on the back straightaway. Chad Frankenfield around and into the wall. It also looks like the 38 of Jeff Green also turned around as Chad Frankenfield makes hard contact into turn 3. We're definitely going to have to get a look back as to what happened there, but Chad Frankenfield will have a completely destroyed car. As it looks like we're seeing a little bit of Jeff Green being turned as well. Looks like it was between. Looks like Chad Frankenfield tried to make a gap work out between him and Matthew Weeks as he dove and hits the front end of Matthew Weeks and turns himself around. So yeah, Chad Frankenfield tried to get down in front of Matthew Weeks to try to get to battling and ends up turning himself from it and into the wall. Looks like Jeff Green got spun around from I believe that might have been I think that was I'm quite sure it was a black car back there. Here with Chad Frankenfield. Yeah, unfortunately, Chad Frankenfield was trying. If he was about an inch further up, he might have been able to clear himself. But unfortunately, he was looking behind or looking in front. He was not looking behind as he got turned around. And now we'll have a damaged race car for it. We'll go on board of here with Chad Frankenfield here. Good maneuver by Ethan Burl as he was able to able to get around the spinning of Chad Frankenfield. So that could have been a lot worse, absolutely, as that could have ended up being a lot of torn up race cars. Well, what this does do is allows these drivers, as they were deep into a long green flag run here, they will be able to and it looks like Trevor Elam was able to actually take the lead from Tyler Fody on pit road, as he now will be our leader in front of Tyler Fody. So off of pit road goes to the 29 car, as he was able to finally, with what most people have had an issue here, find a way in front of Fody here tonight. So now the 29 will find himself back out front as he did earlier on in this race. We complete 140, so 60 laps to go. Still within a fuel run. So unless if there's another caution, this will probably be green. If it stays green, this will probably be a green flag pit stop to decide the race. So we'll have to keep an eye out and see when some of these drivers are they going to still try to go for the tire saving, or is it time to go now, knowing that this might be your chance to try to gain track position that you can. So looks like the pace car is going to have its lights off here, and it will start to stack up the field to go green flag next time by. We get a few wave around drivers, so the leaders will start to catch up to the pace car here. Lights off the pace car, indicating that it will be green flag this time by. Trevor Elon decides to take the bottom lane with Fody to the outside. And also, Scott Crump finds himself in third position. Joshua Adams, and the best position he's had all night. Definitely will be interesting to see what Joshua Adams will be able to do with the track position in front of him. So Joshua Adams in fourth, David Tooker in fifth, Chad Thurnquist in sixth, Garrison Hogan in seventh, Matthew Weeks still able to stay out. Doesn't look like he got much damage from Chad Frankenfield. Finds himself in the eighth position. Tyler Popp in ninth. Ethan Burl in 10th. So a lot of those drivers that got ULs now find themselves within shouting distance of the lead. So now this will probably be the most competitive top 10 that we've seen all night long, as all of our drivers have worked their ways up to the front of the field. Pace car is off, and the green flag is back out. The 29 gets a bump from the 90 there, Scott Crump, as maybe the green flag came out. The leader had not yet decided to go yet, as the 29 does not get the best restart as he would have hoped, as that just put Fody right to the back bumper. But we have a car going up the racetrack, losing a ton of position up there. I think that was Trevor Elon, or not Trevor Elon, but I believe that was, try to get a good look, I think that might was, yeah, Thurnquist lost a ton of position as he got loose. Is able to keep it going straight, but battle here for the lead, as it looks like Fody's going to try to get the high lane working, and is able to get the high lane working, as he is able to make the pass on the 29, and makes it look easy as he's able to get it done in turn 1 and 2. And back out to the front is Tyler Fody, but not far behind him is Trevor Elam and Scott Crump, trying to, after that bobble on the start of the race, start to work his way back up there as well. A lot of an interesting battle shaking up, as we got side-by-side battle for the, I believe that's the 8th and 9th position. It looks like Tyler Popp is able to make the pass on Matthew Weeks there. So single file now for a majority of these drivers. Well, that definitely shook it back up, but yet now here we go. We still have Fody out front of this race, trying to do what we've seen from drivers like Martin Truex Jr. just lead almost all the race here at Charlotte and try to go out and win it like he did in the Truck Series. We used to call this place Jimmy Johnson's Playhouse. Well, this might be Tyler Fody's if he's able to get it done tonight. But here we go. We got another battle for the lead, as it looks like the 29 had a very good turn 3 and 4. Gave a little bit of a bumper to Fody and is now looking to the inside in 1 and 2. Misses the bottom a little bit, and it's going to give Fody the run that he needs out of turn 2 to go back and clear himself. So what we've learned here is Fody's fast and very hard to pass. So yeah, we'll have to find out if any driver is able to get around Fody, but one driver that's not looking too hesitant of doing it has been the 29, as he now finds a way to get to the outside of Fody maybe that's the way to do it, and it definitely looks very strong. As the Trevor Elam we saw there from an angle, he was able to just get a bumper to his outside, and that was all he needed to be able to fit the rest of the vehicle along to the outside of Tyler Fode. Going around 3 and 4, is he going to be able to pinch him off enough to be able to get the run out of the turn? It looks like coming across the finish line now, that is enough to put Trevor Elam back out in front of the race here. But the battle is not yet over, as Fode is still trying to get the inside run on the 29 to get himself back out front, but is losing ground as Trevor Elam is able to clear himself for the lead. So been a lot of great battling here in this run, as it looks like Trevor Elam has stepped up and decided to go to war with Tyler Fode on who's going to be leading this race. What these two drivers, you would have thought, with battling as hard as they did, would have had the other drivers start to catch up to them, but that has not been the case, as Scott Crump, either from that bump, maybe has some front nose damage, but he is losing touch to both of these drivers, as Scott Crump is holding up Joshua Adams and David Tooker back there from them being able to catch up to that field. So we'll have to find out if some of those drivers are going to work together to get around Scott Crump, or if Scott Crump is going to be able to find some speed here late in the run. As we come around this time around, we'll be coming to 50 laps to go. We are 3/4 of the way done of this full distance Xfinity race here. Across the finish line, Trevor Elam will lead this lap as he did on lap 1. Now Tyler Fode looking to the inside of the 29 car going into turn 3. He takes a look, but Trevor Elam with a high lane is able to easily defend that battle and defend his top position. So Trevor Elam still out front here tonight. And we'll see, there looks to be a battle starting to shape up for the 3rd place position, as Joshua Adams may be through trying to stay behind Scott Crump, or maybe he's going to try to push him. We'll find out here as the battling continues on. They are slowly starting to catch back up to the leaders, but very slowly. Some new drivers that we're seeing into the top 10 back there in 10th. Andrew Rucker now works his way into the top 10 with his number 64 Mustang. So now Andrew Rucker here late, slowly working his way, willing his way up there, still with a decent car underneath him, trying to see if he can gain back. But we saw, I said it earlier, the 90 car was maybe going too slow for some of these drivers to stay behind for much longer, as it looks like the 56 there of Joshua Adams is going to try to figure out a way to get around the 90 car, because as they go along, they are not catching these lead cars as you would have expected, even with all the hard battling out front. So now it looks like David Tooker, see, I believe those two are teammates there with Pro Ed. We're going to see there if they're going to work together and see if they can get around Scott Crump. Looks like Pro Edge there's in one car as well, so Pro Edge as a group is starting to work their way up, back up to the front here. Tyler Fode has been denied quite a few times from the lead from the 29, and the 29 has been doing a fantastic job of being able to keep the very quick number 40 car. We'll have to keep watching as we'll find out when the tires will switch into the better hands. We'll find out which driver was able to have a better long run car. One driver, obviously, being Tyler Fode, who had a very good long run car, but that was when he had a lead and no one in front of him. This time around, he's had the 29 battling with him almost every lap, so not able to drive the lane he might be preferred in to be able to have such great tire strategy. Bro, looks like 56 ran high there trying to get a run on the 90, now looking to the inside, and doesn't look like he's got the run enough to be able to complete the maneuver, trying desperately trying to find the grip with these new tires to be able to get around Scott Crump. As he took a high lead in turn one to try to see if he could be able to keep the momentum with him. Unable to do so there. Now Scott Crump with a higher lead there. Well, here they come to lap 60. We will have 40 laps to go to complete the end of this race here. Still battling hard, but losing time to the leader is the 90 of Scott Crump and the 56 of Adams there. Another driver working his way up through there is also Ethan Burrell, and I think that's the 8 car there. That's a lap car with new tires. Even with this run here, new tires is still a big factor. That's Joshua, or that's Josh Robbins in the 8 car trying to get around all these guys and stay out of their way. Well, we thought Martinsville in the Cup Series was hard to pass. This is right up there with it, with trying to make these maneuvers cleanly to get around some of these drivers. It's almost gonna take a Martinsville shunt to be able to get these cars up out of the fast groove or up out of your way. It's every lap. It shows how difficult it is for a faster car. You have to be quite a bit faster to be able to complete a pass. You can make a look for sure. There's many of times we've seen drivers be able to take a look, but actually completing the pass has been a different story entirely. As you see how much Scott Crump has bunched up these drivers behind him, as they are all nose to tail trying to push the next driver in front of them to be able to get going, and they are losing almost a tenth of a lap to the leaders. Eventually, we will see a bumper here if a driver holds up another one for too long, as the 56 has been right on the back bumper. There's not much more you could ask for to try to be able to complete this pass. He tries once again to look to the outside of the 90. Almost put him in the wall for that. It looked like the 56 was trying to see if he can get the outside lane working. Once again, runs the high lane to get momentum, but unable to take that speed forward, as it looks like the 1 car is actually going to dive bomb into the turn and take the position from David Tooker, as he checked up for Joshua Adams. As they pass the 24 Agari here, going a lap down. Right on the back bumper of Scott Crump. And now the number 1 car is starting to take to the battle. That's going to be a battle there for 4th place position, as he was unable to do it. 56 dove it in underneath Scott Crump. He's going to take another chance to try to see if he can find a way past Scott Crump. He dove it into 3 and 4 really hard. He might be able to get the position now, and he does so. But Scott Crump starting to battle back on that high side. He's going to try to go get the momentum on the high side. They are still side by side, but now the 56 has some help on the bottom lane. So the drafting help is with Joshua Adams going into turn 1. He slides up. He misses the bottom. They almost go 3 wide there. Because of it, Scott Crump actually had to check up and almost hit the wall and the number 1 car in the same moment, as they are hard pressed to try to see if they can get past Scott Crump, because now they find themselves well over 2 seconds behind the leader, and with how hard it is to try to get up there, it's gonna be hard for any of these drivers to try to catch up to Trevor Elam and Tyler Fody. Scott Crump was able to at least be able to duck back down and keep it to the 5th position. Gets right in front of David Tucker. Looks like we had a disconnect from Ethan Burl, unfortunately for that driver, as he was in the top 10, so that will throw him out of the race. And there goes a really good run he was having tonight. So unfortunate for Ethan Burl. I'm hearing some drivers talk about going down pit road now. Looks like some of the back drivers are starting to look down to be able to get maybe an early pit stop here. One driver is Ryan Barbarelli. He's going to be coming down this time to take on some fresh set of tires. Well, once Joshua Adams was able to get around Scott Crump, he's gained about 1/10 of a lap on our leader. So having that fresh air and having no one in front of him is showing to the speed of Joshua Adams, as he is able to start to reel in on the top 2 drivers. But still out front, doing a heck of a job with so much pressure behind him, has been Trevor Elam. Tyler Fody has been 1/10 behind him this entire run and has not had a mistake yet to lose that position. But here's a mistake right there. Scott Crump goes up high. Looks like Matthew Weeks is going to be on the inside of him. Scott Crump actually gets a little loose out of turn 4, and then is going to lose that position to Matthew Weeks, as David Tucker still finds himself behind the 90 and is going to lose another position if he's not careful to Tyler Pop in the 13 car. So being stuck behind Scott Crump has been a horrible point for David Tucker, as he has continued to lose positions, being stuck behind the 90 car and unable to make the pass on him. This time around, we'll see how much Joshua Adams is able to catch up. Actually, that time they're about even. So it looks like Joshua Adams did not gain any time on our leader. But a driver going down pit road right now, Tyler Pop in the 13 car, trying to see if he can get tires early here and maybe play some leapfrog. See a pass there go for Chad Thornquist, trying to make the pass on Andy Rucker. And in the same moment, finally, and David Tucker is able to get around the ailing Scott Crump. That has been the gap between our leaders this entire race. Very good run out of the turn, but there's not much for Tyler Fody to be able to do, as he has been stuck behind the 29 car for this entire reflective stint. As you see, the 29 actually get a little loose. This might open the door for Tyler Fody. He's to the outside of the 29. He's actually going to try to do what the 29 did to him and be able to get the high lane rolling. He might be able. Oh, he gets it loose. He's so loose. You see him correct the steering wheel. Loses the position, but the 29 is going to give him the outside lane once again. I wouldn't do that. That's been the easiest way to make a pass, has been on the outside. As you see, the 29 stuck to the inside. Is going to be able to clear him. He is, but he still gives him the outside. You've got to cut it off, as Tyler Fody is licking his chop, trying to be able to get the grip up underneath him to be able to complete the pass. He's side by side. The 29 actually has a bobble this time. This opens the door best for Fody that he's had the last couple laps. He's going to have the momentum going down the back straightaway. This will be the battle for the lead with 25 laps left to go in this race. This might be the battle for the lead and the end of this race, as Tyler Fody is going to pinch down the 29, as the 29 is going to desperately try to get back in front of Fody. Fody's been biding his time until this point, but the time to go has been now as he tries to clear himself, and he just might be able to do it. He does. He clears himself coming out of turn 2 in front of the 29, just in time for some drivers with fresh tires to take battle to him. The question on everyone's mind in the chat is going to be how much fuel. Are they going to worry about fuel? Is the fuel going to be a point of concern? Are they... You see a driver go down low and actually make contact. I don't think that will cause a caution, as that is going to be below the racing line. So some of these drivers may be trying to save tires, as you see the shot of the 24 make contact onto the inside wall there. Jari there in the 24 car. So now Tyler Fody back out front. The question will come, will there be fuel issue on some of these drivers? We've heard a couple drivers over the chat state that fuel may be of concern for a lot of them out there. Who's been saving? Has Tyler Fody been saving behind the 29 this entire time? I wouldn't have thought so, but here comes the 29 going back to battle with Fody. So you have to wonder, has Fody been trying to save this entire time with the 29 during this whole battle that he's had with him? If it is, that's a strange way to save fuel, as he has been battling with the 29 this entire run. 29 trying to find a way back around Fody, but unable to do it, trying to get it on the bottom lane, which during how passes have been made has been the more difficult of the two. You would prefer the outside lane. So once again, we see the outside lane prevail from a side-by-side battle. As here we come to 20 laps to go. We're on lap 180 of this full distance race here. Right now, our top 10 look such as this. Tyler Fody out front, Trevor Elam second, Joshua Adams in third, Garrison in fourth, Matthew Weeks in fifth, David Chooker sixth, Scott Crump in seventh, Chad Thornquist in eighth, Trey Holmes ninth, and rounding out our top 10 as of right now, Chad Frankenfield. Very surprising to see him back up in the top 10 after that humongous crash he had going into turn 3. As you see, a couple of drivers back there starting to make some slip-ups and some contact. That was Trey Holmes, and it looks like Chad Thornquist is actually stuck onto the apron there. He made contact with the 88 car and lost a lot of time. We'll go back and try to figure out what happened there, as that was both of our drivers in the top 10 having some issues. What in the world was that? Oh, mirroring from Chad Thornquist, his screen froze on him, and he was stuck going down. But that doesn't make any sense why Trey Holmes decided to go down there with him. Maybe he thought there was something that maybe the O2 figured out, but he almost got collected when the O2 came back up the racetrack. And I'm not sure what happened with why the 88 followed him. Oh, we have some taker down pit road. It's our second place runner, the 29. He was not saving. He was battling with Tyler Fody that entire run. And I see why now. He used up all the fuel he could have saved and is now down pit road to get tires. But he's doing it with only 17 laps to go. So that goes back to Fody being behind the 29. Might have been saving that entire time with draft, trying to save enough fuel to make the distance. He finds himself 1.6 seconds now in front of the 56 of Joshua Adams. And if we take an onboard shot here, take a look at that tachometer. We're going to find out. I'm hearing he's shutting it off going into the turns. Not that time around. Maybe he's only doing it to turn 3 and 4, but from what I'm hearing, he might be clutching it or turning off the car as he goes into these turns here. There you go. You see that tachometer go all the way down to the number 2 marker. He's turning off the car and hitting that clutch pedal down as he goes around 3 and 4. He's trying to save as much as he can. As here we come down to around 15 laps to go of this 200 lap race. So this opens up everything. Who's able to save? Who's able to keep the speed in their car and stay out front? Who is able to save just enough to make it to the end of this race? So far, we haven't had any other takers go down the road, but the battle has not stopped as we see another battle there with the 11 as he has a similar situation with Chad Frankenfield, a car quickly being able to dive in front of them. But we're seeing a lot of the drivers going a lot slower than they have all night, trying desperately to have fuel for the end of this race, as the end of this race is coming very quickly here. Trevor Elam, one of those drivers, you have an onboard shot, you'll see the speed difference. He did not. He came down pit road. He has fuel and tires, so he's trying to get back around Fody here, and he will find himself now back on the lead lap and hoping for a caution or for some of these drivers to run out. As you see him split the gap. Oh, he goes 3 wide across the finish line there past past Jeff Green. And he is not lifting. He has all throttle down, all forward momentum going, trying to gain as much time as he can and pass as many drivers as he can. One driver that's starting to catch up to Joshua Adams, Matthew Weeks, feels like he has saved enough, and he is starting to go now, as he is now battling for the second position. So the question comes down to, will Matthew Weeks not only have enough fuel, but will he have enough time to catch up to Filer Fody to see with 10 laps left to go? Side by side still for our second place drivers of Matthew Weeks there and Joshua Adams, as they are catching up on drivers that are desperately trying to save fuel and some of these lap cars. Oh, 56 sideways coming out of 4. That's still trying to get the power down. That might have been a shift gone wrong, as he probably had the clutch in going around 3 and 4 and let it out and gave the gas maybe a little too strong there as the back end came around on him. Still, Fody finds himself about a 1.5 second lead over these 3 drivers right here. Weeks finally able to clear himself and get him into the second position, as now he will try to get up there with a limited amount of laps left to see if he can battle with Tyler Fody. He finds himself a little over a second back from Fody, but is catching him slowly but surely. Matthew Weeks feels like he can go now. He has nothing else to lose. He's going to try to catch up to our leader. He is now within under a second, as he is 0.8 of a second behind Fody. He is catching him a little over a tenth a lap, and Fody has to see that in his mirrors. So Fody's ability to be able to save fuel will slowly but surely start to run out, as he will eventually here have to go toe to toe with Weeks if he continues to lose this much time to Weeks. As here they come around to complete 194. No idea who will be the driver to win tonight, as fuel strategy and hard charging and just the maneuverability of these drivers trying to get around lap traffic will all play into a factor for tonight's race. Well, now Weeks will have 2 lap cars in between him and Fody that he will have to make quick work of, as he finds himself within 7/10 of a second. He will have to gain more time than that if he wants to be able to take the lead away from Fody. As Tyler Fody comes this time around, this will be 5 laps to go of this 200-lap race. Tyler Fody has been good on the long runs. He's been good at defending. He's been very good at passing. And he's been very, very good at leading this race, as he's led well over 100 laps tonight. He finds himself out front, but he has a new contender behind him, and he has a new challenge to have to deal with. Can he be able to also be very good at being able to save fuel with 4 laps to go? We will find out here as they come around to complete lap 5 and 4 to go. His distance over Weeks once again shrinks down to just a little under 7/10 of a second, as it gets down to already to under half a second. So here comes Weeks now. He's within drafting distance of our leader. And Fody has still been shutting off his car, as he's been desperately trying to find a way to save as much fuel and keep the 11 car behind him. But that's slowly but surely running its course, as he has got Weeks now within a car length from behind him. Weeks, oh so close to the back end of Fody. Now looking to the outside. Fody gets onto the gas power now. He's not going to be able to save that time around that turn, as he was having to do everything he can to try to be able to get the gas power down and get going and save in front of Weeks. But the battle continues here. 2 laps to go as they come out of turn 2, going down the back straightaway. Still unclear if Fody has enough fuel to finish the race, with how much he's saving still with the number 11 car on his back bumper. It can't be much fuel in that car left, as Weeks is looking inside and out, trying to find a way to be able to get to the back bumper, and does get to the back bumper of Fody, going into the final lap here of the 200-lap race. The Mrs. Goodies Xfinity and the Elite Series. Weeks slides up, loses a lot of time. The only way now he can get Fody is if Fody runs out of fuel. He's lost so much time and distance to Fody. Fody's coming around turn 4. Will he have the fuel? Will he have the speed? He will. He will come around and complete another win here in the Elite Series at Charlotte. And Tyler Fody will take the victory. And Matthew Weeks, with a good run, comes home in second place. What a great race. The 9 car there, as you see drivers starting to slowly come across the finish line there, losing losing their engine, as all of them have ran out of fuel. Fantastic finish for our drivers here, as they all come across the line. Tyler Fody coming to the front stretch to celebrate here. Let's go ahead and pull up our finishing order here and we'll give a rundown of our finishing order. Tyler Fody comes home the victory. Matthew Weeks in second. Garrison Hogan third. David Tooker fourth. Scott Crump fifth. Trey Holmes in sixth. Joshua Adams seventh. Chad Frankenfield, after his disaster wreck, comes home eighth. Andrew Rucker in ninth. David Westergreen will round out our top 10. Dustin Durr in 11th. Harrison Towle in 12th. Vincent Isabella in 13th. Trevor Elm, uh, Elam, after having to pit, ends up coming home in 14th. Tyler Pop 15th. And the number 9, Jay Canner, comes home 16th. Joseph Kazi 17th. Jesse Rasman in 18th. Brent Jones 19th. Ryan Barbarelli 20th. Michael Goodman in 21st, Jeff Green 22nd, Daniel Martinez 23rd, David Carpenter 24th, Anthony Ludi 25th, Michael Hozak will end up in 26th, Josh Robin 27th, 28th, Hunter Smith, Justin Fortner is going to come home in 29th, 30th, Richard Hines. Mark Reblis in 31st, Mark Keeler 32nd, Chad Thornquist 33rd, Robert Hill Jr. 34th, 35th will be Ryan Ajari here. 36th was Ethan Barbarelli, or Ethan Burrell, I'm sorry, Ethan Burrell in 36th, Ryan Schultz in 37th, Zach Evans 38th, Joey Chapman 39th, and Ethan Reesner is in your 40th position. Well, let's go ahead and see if we can bring up some of our drivers. We got Garrison there, our third place driver. Garrison comes home in third position here. Go ahead and give us an idea of how difficult tonight was with trying to make these passes as you had to come from the back of the field.
Passing here is pretty hard, and you have to basically kind of wait until the guy in front of you makes a mistake. It's a hard setup. The B car here is pretty tough with the bumps, so you just have to make sure you don't overdrive the entry of the corner and keep your car down as low as possible, and you're going to be good.
Well, we saw that you worked your way up through the field, and it looked like a lot of fuel strategy ended up coming into play for tonight's race. What exactly did the fuel strategy? What was your strategy for this race, trying to work your way up through the field here and trying to have enough fuel to be able to finish it off for tonight's race?
For me, it was just, run as hard as I can the first few runs. Um, it's pretty much going to be equal at 200 laps. You can do at least 50 to 55 if you were going to undercut, but the strategy is going to be to overcut here. So you want to make sure you stay out as long as possible. Um, it was working out, and then there was a untimely caution somewhere around the lap 130 mark or so. We went back to green. So as you can imagine, that's like right there on the mark, and you have to save from the beginning. Which is why it was funny that Tyler ended up making it. Congratulations to him, by the way. I don't think I got to say that earlier, but it was hard to catch up. Yes, when the leaders were out at front and you were back there in traffic, but at the end, it was about who could save the fuel, and then basically Tyler had a big gap, and he kind of was able to cut the car off and save, and he saved just enough to make it home.
That he did, and so did you. You had a great night tonight. Uh, what I'm not quite sure what the next race is, but so far this season you've had a lot of great runs here. So we're getting closer for the start of the chase. Are you? I think this is the first season that you're going to be in the chase, is it not, or were you in it last year?
It should be the second.
Second.
Last year I ran the season towards the end of the year, and this year I'm part time still. I don't know for sure if I'm going to run for it, but Road to Pro comes first for me, so I'm just doing this a little bit of relief to have fun and to do something else besides Bristol, which is coming on Thursday. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. I wish it didn't come down to fuel saving at the end. I wish it could have been on pure pace. I felt like I had something, even though I had damage on the nose from way early in the race. But I felt like I had something for the leader, and I was gonna try to make it as fun as possible. But we'll just come and do it another week.
Absolutely. Well, good run again, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again next week, as every race that we get you in here has been exciting. So congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Well, that was your third place driver, we're gonna go ahead and see if is our second place driver in there, or is it just our first? Let's. I think Weeks is on to his next race here, so we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get Fody in here because I think Weeks is already into another race. But we talked to him on Sunday. Now we talked to him again here on Monday. So far, I alluded to it earlier. Jimmy Johnson used to own this place. I'm thinking that now this might be your house, as you now have won at both in the trucks and the Xfinity here so far this season.
Yeah, man. This was a lot different, though. I gotta say, there was a lot more going on, even if it didn't look like there was. Yeah, I can't believe we made it at the end there. From the restart, the very last restart, I knew we were going to be close, and with like 25-ish to go, started clutching it and rolling the corners back, and from there it was just a game really with Weeks and everyone else on who was going to save a little more and then go, and we were kind of rubber banding back and forth. And yeah, I don't think I've never been good with fuel saving. I don't think I've ever cut it that close before the fuel light was flashing and it was starting to sputter coming out of 4. So I'm just happy I had that little gap that I did.
Well, we saw that fuel strategy was going to be an issue. We may have figured that out way after you had already figured out that fuel was going to be an issue. Were you guys were you behind the 29 saving that entire run, or was it really a battle, or was just give us a kind of an insight of when you started to do this whole kind of
Yeah.
fuel strategy run.
Yeah. Well, based off the very first fuel run, I had an idea. It was like 56 to 58-ish laps. And we restarted. I think I had counted 59 or something. So it was in the back of my head, but the first more than half of that run, I was trying to get the track position back because Elam's number one stalled. He just nosed me out. So props to him coming out of the pits there. So, I mean, I was going 110% first 30 laps of that 60-lap run, trying to get the track position back. And we were pulling on everyone. And I was more worried about the tires going off, and I was getting caught back up, battling with Elam. And all props to him. He drove a great race, really solid. And I would say it wasn't until maybe 20-ish to go that I started backing off behind him. And then right around that time, I was able to get back by him and start pulling away. And then when I got by him, I think we all started to realize because I noticed he backed off. So I started backing off, and then we were just kind of mirror driving, clutching it into 3 when I could. And then I guess he made the call to pit, which I did think about a couple times, but we were too late in it at that point. So yeah, probably around 20-ish to go, I'd say, is when it really kicked in, and we were saving every other lap.
How much fuel did you end up having at the end of that?
0. Hey, I came out of 4, and the light for the fuel pressure was flashing, and it sputtered and then quit after I crossed the line. So I just coasted back around.
Well, that was a lot of exciting racing. You definitely had the dominant car tonight, but it wasn't easy, as you had a lot of things to have to go through, different drivers, lap traffic to get through. It was definitely not an easy one for you by no means. As fuel strategy almost took it out of your hands, but still able to defend off and get the win. Congratulations on the win. We'll give it back over to you to do the your thank yous and shout outs as you're gonna have this down pat very quickly here if you keep rolling off victories like this back to back.
Yeah, well, tonight we got to thank Days Gone By, of course, for being on the Xfinity car, the primary sponsor there. Also, Blue Egg Marketing. Big shout out to the Lake Norman guys, as always. Ran a really solid race. Happy to see David just get into the top 10 there at the end, so that was cool. Thanks to them also for helping with the fuel strategy and crunching the numbers. Got to thank you guys, of course, for getting up in the booth, commentating over it. And also shout out to my dad back home. I was giving him a heart attack coming to the end there. So we'll go on the rest of the week here. Maybe try and get the Charlotte sweep. I don't want to say it too soon, but we got a long one ahead of us Wednesday, so anything can happen.
Well, once again, good job out there, Fody. Maybe next time you can make it a little bit more interesting for some of the other drivers to try to make a last lap pass and try to see if you can win it in a different way. domination has been kind of an old story for you as of now.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Alrighty, that was our winner there, Fody. That was a great race. I appreciate everyone for joining in to us tonight. And like I said, I'm usually the host for the truck series. So if you enjoyed tonight, make sure you tune in to the truck series as well that we have on Sundays. We won't have it this Sunday, but next Sunday will be Kansas. We've got them rooting and tooting trucks that always go out and beating and bang. So appreciate if you join it there. We also have during the truck races, we have those a series or a $10 gift card at the halfway mark for if you guess. It's called the Dine and Dash Challenge that me and my wife host. So yeah, if you want to be able to join us on the truck series on Sundays, you can. Other than that, you can join us here for the Xfinity race on every Monday at 7:15, 7:30. Other than that, this is Gerald Campbell. I had an enjoyable time watching it with you, and we hope to see you once again here at the Elite Racing Network.